The Roman Empire is the most well-known ancient empire in the history. It born from the end of the republican state of ancient Rome and is understood as the period from the death of Julius Caesar and the following Octavian's rise as first Roman emperor. For 4 centuries it dominated the West, expanding its rule to most of the Mediterranean and beyond. These are the things that made the Roman Empire great. The structure of the army was composed by Legion of Roman citizens, Legion of citizens from other populations, Roman navy, and garrisons of Rome, Praetorian Guard, urban cohorts, and brigade. It is famous for being the most effective and longest-lived military institution known in human history. Starting from only 3,300 armed men in the era of the first king to 600,000 units when the Roman Empire collapsed. In order to handle more than 5 million square kilometers, the Romans built a complex and efficient road network, which largely dates back to the Republican age, whose path lasts up to our time. The main purpose was to expand the empire, so the roads has to be built as straight as possible in order to minimize distances and facilitate the army and the commerce. Today's Romans, Italians, and other Europeans use the same roads designed by their predecessors. The well-known saying, "All roads lead to Rome," seems to be truth. Divide et impera, in Latin, was the method used by the Roman emperor to keep the entire empire under control. Since the Roman Republic, the whole territory was divided into administrative regions, called provinces, each of which was ruled by a Roman governor. The people who lived in the provinces were not considered Roman citizens until AD 212. The Roman Emperor Caracalla given full Roman citizenship to all people belonging to the empire, with the Edict of Caracalla, or Constitutio Antoniniana. The Roman legions, units of the army, they were stationed in the provinces and resided in special camps called castrum, rectangular-shaped, around of which various defensive systems were planned. Most of these camps have evolved into cities, and this is the origin of some modern cities like Turin, Milan, Vienna, or London. With the Latin term Annona, the ancient Romans means a supply of grain intended for poor Roman citizens, the plebis, with which the emperors ensured the consent of the people. Panem et circens, in English, bread and circuses. Another incentive to loyalty to Rome were the lands granted to those who embarked on a military career. At the end of the 1st century AD, the Emperor Domitiano had now lost consensus, and he was the victim of a conspiracy by the senators. Therefore, Rome decided to give the possibility to the emperors to choose his successor, avoiding the family constraint, introducing the practice of imperial adoption. With this strategy, the Senate wanted to prevent the reappearance of dissolute emperors such as Caligula and Nero. The emperors Nerva, Trajan, Adrian, Antoninus Pius, and Marcus Aurelius were chosen by adoption by their predecessor, which began the golden age of the Roman Empire. The Romans never started religious wars. As a matter of fact, the ritual of the evocatio consisted of welcoming the divinities of opposing enemies into Rome, in order to remove the protection of their gods. Therefore, temples were built in honor of these divinities. In this way, Oriental cults were embraced, the Egyptian cult of Isis and the Persian cult of Mithras. The same happened with Greek culture and art after conquering Athens. To create their own postal service, the Romans took inspiration from their Persian neighbors and their royal road, an ancient highway rebuilt by Darius I in 500 BC. Therefore, they created a system of private couriers, until Augustus decided to reorganize the entire postal system, increasing its complexity and making it much more efficient, called cursus publicus. It was initially designed for military purposes, but was later extended to include some aristocratic citizens. The postal network of the cursus publicus extended over 200,000 kilometers of roads, from Scotland to Ethiopia, and from Portugal to the Indian Sea. There were 3 types of messengers, including for transporting light and heavy objects: modern couriers. Every 20 kilometers there were structures, mutationes, to change the horse with a fresher one, saving time.